Today we're playing on the El Haluf map using a Tier 5 German artillery piece called a Hummel. The El Haluf map is actually a very open map, which means that artillery has the opportunity to influence it very strongly. There are certain points of interest where battles usually take place. One is along the A line at the top of the map, usually around A3, where the hill is crested. Both teams have about an equal chance of getting to that spot at about the same time, so whoever can reach it with overwhelming force usually gains a tactical advantage in that they hold some very important ground. Another spot is just behind the cliff at H7, which usually will be advanced on very quickly by players from the south side, because if they can get in there, it can allow them to eliminate targets for their artillery. Both of the main starting areas and capture points are very open, very flat areas that are extremely susceptible to artillery fire, which means that if you can get a good spotting vehicle in place and the artillery can get positioned soon enough, you can usually lay out some serious damage before the enemy has a chance to respond. Now, as you can see on the mini-map, some of my teammates are moving very rapidly into enemy-controlled territory. They are looking to do some of that target illumination for me, and we have a few targets for me to service if I can get the right shot lined up and zoom in before the tanks maneuver out of my line of sight. I'm going to try to take a shot at that IS-4. I'm zooming in. Usually once it has a good firing position, a tank will stay there, and if I'm lucky, that tank will be exactly where it was when I loose my round. And firing, let's see if I hit. And that's a hit. If you'll notice, if you don't see an explosion, it means that you actually did strike the target squarely. Now here's a KV-5. It's much better illuminated. It seems to be trying to back up a hill, which means its retreat speed is going to be very low. I'm going to hope to lay a shell on it momentarily, and here we go, firing. And I finished it off. Fantastic. Okay, so that's one enemy vehicle out of the way, and it's a Tier 8, which is important. Now you can see the battle being joined up at the northwestern corner of the map. There's an enemy scout vehicle, a VK-2801, which is one of the so-called super scouts, has a top speed of 72 kilometers per hour. It's very maneuverable. And of the Tier 5 super scouts, it's probably the best armed and armored. Well, technically best armored, but not necessarily the best armed. I would say best armed goes to the Chaffee. Once that tank is re-illuminated, if it's stationary, I will take another shot at it, but because it's so fast, I'm not going to loose a round blind at it. Let's see if I can't move up and... oh, well, I guess I've had to maneuver so my target reticle is reset. That's another danger of artillery, by the way. Because they are turretless vehicles, if you turn the chassis of the vehicle, it resets your zoom, so you end up having to wait to pan in on a target. And as you can see, that takes quite a bit of time and is really sort of an opportunity for enemies to maneuver away. I'm going to hope that he lands right when the shell gets there. Nope, a clean miss. Okay. The VK-2801 seems to be very interested in staying exactly where he is. So once I reload, if he's still illuminated, I'm going to take a shot at him and hope that he hasn't decided to make a run for it, which he might because he has no support visible left at the top left corner of the map. My teammates seem to be hiding at the moment. There looks like maybe 5 or 6 tanks on the A line on top of the hill. That's not going to help me illuminate targets because if they stay behind the rock while they are in fact safe from counter battery fire, what they are not doing is letting me see anything that I can shoot. So I'm going to move south where I can see a scout tank, a light, moving uphill into enemy territory. He has taken some damage and he's currently hiding behind a rock. He'll probably wait a little bit to see if the enemy forgets about him and then move in for another peek. One thing to get used to when you're playing artillery is that targets appear and disappear very rapidly. This E-75 just showed up on my screen a moment ago. It's going to be a tough target to hit because it's behind a rock wall. As you can see, the green zoom reticle is not letting me see it clearly, so I'm going to make another attempt at the VK-2801. If it will be kind enough to stay still, I should be able to throw around it. Oh, no, someone else finished it off. That's another thing you see happen pretty frequently when you're playing artillery is other players finishing off tanks. This KV looks like he's still just far enough behind the rock that it'll be hard to hit him. I might be able to get him with a little bit of splash damage, but I'm going to have to watch carefully to see if he's in a position where I can actually reach him at all. Doesn't look like it, so I'm going to shift fire and hope to get a shot in on the tank destroyer that was over here a moment ago, or one of these other heavies. Well, there's the IS-4 I shot before, and 2 tank destroyers. This one is a tier 9. It's called a Jag Tiger. They're very, very dangerous, heavily armored, incredibly heavily armed. They are often linchpins of your opponent's strategy. And it looks like there's another one hiding in these bushes, so I'm going to throw a shell right through here and see if I get lucky and connect. Looks like I didn't, or at least I can't tell. I might have gotten someone with splash damage, but I certainly didn't get anything with a direct hit there, because you can see the dust cloud kicked up by the shell's impact. Let's see if anyone illuminates one of them again for me, because I'm almost done reloading. And being zoomed in, it shouldn't take me long to be able to acquire a target and fire. Patience is key when you're playing artillery. You do need to be aware that it sometimes requires you to wait for an enemy to reveal themselves before you can loose a successful shot. It doesn't look like anybody's moving into spot right now, so I'm going to take a blind shot and cross my fingers since that Jag Tiger was there before. Okay, my round fell short of anything useful, which means that I'm going to have to try to acquire a new target. There's a tank destroyer over here. It's a T-28. It's almost as powerful as the Jag Tiger, but this one seems to have taken up a position that I can hit if it doesn't move forward too quickly. The KV is also in between rock at the moment, and if I can just get zoomed in fast enough, I might be able to do some real damage. And there's that E-75 again, and another KV. Okay, this is good. In some cases, you can actually hit more than one vehicle, and just like that, I hit 137 on one and 372 on another. It's the beauty of having an HE round that you can actually impact more than one target at a time and inflict greater casualties on the enemy forces that way. The game is tied at 4-4. I'm hoping that I can sort of help to skew the odds in my team's favor if I can just get another clean shot at some of these vehicles. Oh, they all moved, so I'm going to get no result from that shot. I tried for a multiple hit, didn't work out that well, but it looks like my teammates are doing a pretty good job of keeping things from getting out of control. If you notice, they've moved off of the A line and are now pushing up the hill into the enemy base. That's the key part of controlling that piece of real estate, is it gives you an opportunity to really push the advance and attack more aggressively. Let's see if I can get that KV to stand still momentarily, and ooh, another bit of splash damage. So not a direct hit, but every bit helps. Okay, the enemy has managed to actually reverse the situation where they're now ahead 5-6 in their favor. If I can hit that T-30, it only has 99 hit points left. Even a modest amount of splash damage should allow me to finish that vehicle off, so I'm going to hope that it will stay still long enough for me to zoom in, and okay, well, someone else got it. And that's okay. Every bit of damage that my team inflicts is helpful.
Single day, things get in my way. Someone has to pay for the little things.